Hello there, English speakers. Welcome to the hill that's called the Valley of Light. So yeah, I'm on the top of a hill, and that's called the Ljusdal. Yeah, it's in the valley too, but now we are at the top. So that's the water tower in Ljusdal. It's really big. Maybe we can walk up there. But it's not used as a water reservoir anymore because of modern technology. And here you see the neighboring hills. I talked about Talk and Tube yesterday. Unfortunately, they are at the moment not allowing uploads, so you can't watch me there. But I have one follower already, so that's good. Here in Sweden, we have had an increase of from 55,000 people who called the emergency number for suicide attempts, and this year it's 10,000 more, so it's about 20% more due to the general COVID panic and stuff like that. The biggest problem in Sweden is not the authorities. We can't go out and have a late evening drink, but that's about that. And then it's mostly fear-mongering, but it's what our friends and family that are afraid and don't want to meet us and being alone and so on. That's the problem, and people get really pissed at each other when some people get pissed at the people who are enjoying life and going out and having going to parties and meet their friends, because they are depressed, so they want everyone else to be it, and then of course other people get angry at these people. So that of course is not good for your suicide rates in your country, and I know that it's way worse in some other countries. But it's so unnecessarily. We come to why later on. So they are spreading crap. Our government, that was great when it wasn't doing anything at all. Now they want some extra power, and the excuses are, what if people go to the same beach? That would be bad, because COVID is spreading on the beaches right now. I know we don't have any snow anymore, and you can actually swim in Ljusnan, the river here. You can actually find open water in the lake, but it's mostly ice. So why should they need that law in January? In the summer there will be no problem with COVID, I would almost promise. Of course, there's a new mutation coming from South Africa now, so I'm trying to teach people that this new mutation from South Africa actually spreads via Twitter and Facebook. So if you ever write about it, also it spreads through media of your biggest outlets. So as long as you avoid those things, you should be safe. And we'll see if these horrible people who are making sure that more people call this suicide hotline, if they believe me. I don't think so, but it's worth a try, I think. And they also, our Swedish government, want to be able to close gyms and so on if they are deemed too dangerous, because you know those 80 plus people, they always hang out in gyms, so it's very important that they are forbidden to hang out in gyms, because I don't know, they are not adults, so they can't make those decisions by themselves. It's just stupid. It's a pointless law, at least less insane than in other countries yet again, but still they are walking in the wrong direction all the time. But we have some good news or something. They are really pushing the vaccines now. They should be taken by everyone very fast, because why? Europeans are getting more and more skeptic about the vaccines for every day. In Sweden we are generally less skeptical about what the authorities says, but yeah, fewer and fewer are interested, and of course people who have already gotten COVID shouldn't be interested at all. Let me see if I can get a really good view here. I think so. And the really good news, in 2020 we have the lowest mortality ever in the world, ever. So in the middle of this horrible virus that are killing many people, many people, everyone is dying everywhere, and we have to be so afraid that we have to call the suicide hotline all the time. That's how afraid we need to be, because this year fewer people than ever are dying per 1,000 inhabitants. So really dangerous, all this thing that people get so afraid that they have to leave a glove and just run away because it might be infected by this deadly virus that is killing less people than ever in the history of humankind. So we have less mortality than ever. This is of course predicted numbers for 2020, as the year is not completed yet, and we don't have the ones who have died in the middle of December from any country yet, I think. Another good news, Ivermectin, yet again. Dr. Andrew Hill from Liverpool University have been working on a meta-study, and the interesting part is that he has worked for WHO, and now they are only trying, they are only waiting for 3 more studies that will be very interesting and some better quality on them, and they should be ready in a few weeks, in the middle of January, and after that it will be very hard for WHO to say that Ivermectin is not a good idea. But they will try, I'm sure they will try it. And I linked to some financial advice from Scott Adams that are very short. I don't know if this advice, they work in USA, but if you are in a country with an unstable currency, or where the government suddenly can steal your property, you have to think a little bit outside of this, I guess. But his advice are: buy a house if you want to live in a house and can afford it. Have half a year of income in a money market account, and if you have more wealth to invest, always buy the cheapest possible index funds of stocks and bonds. And if you still are confused because you're so rich that you don't know all the financial stuff, only hire an expert to teach you what you need to know, and don't try to give them money like 1% of your capital or something like that. China is trying to make a digital cash version. It's not exactly blockchain, but it's sort of blockchain. It was unclear here in the article, but the idea is that you should be able to do peer-to-peer transactions without internet, as long as you can connect to the other person with some sort of technology. So we'll see about that. The thing is, China will have control of this, so when they push it out to the people in Africa and so on that have pretty unstable central banks that you can't really trust, and then you should trust the China communists because, well, they have your best interest in mind all the time. So yeah, this is pretty big when you see it up close. If you have a lot of time now after watching the long live stream yesterday, Sidney Powell, there's a link down there to the court case where she present evidence for 270 pages, so you can read that if you want. I did link to the wrong account on Twitter. Apparently George Webb has gotten his Twitter account removed and replaced with someone else that's not him, and someone who makes fun of him basically. So you have to go to Hot News Studio, and they made some interesting talk yesterday about Nashville, the explosion there, and what it might be for. That some people want to take distractions. They want to create a distraction so that the media and people don't pay attention to how they are covering up other stuff, like, you know, election fraud and so on. We'll see what happens there this week, and especially next week. I will not do predictions because, well, I don't have any good predictions to do. I don't want to be certain that something should happen. But it's clear that Trump is not giving up in any way, and of course not the lawyers and so on, and how much force and so on they have to use, we'll see about that. But that's everything from here. Sorry about the lack of snow, but you got to see some beautiful buildings, and I hope I shielded the wind better this time. There's a lot of wind. So that's everything for tonight, I think. Yeah. Stay safe and see you in 24 hours.